EFF legal team says it will only challenge the sanctions of the 6 MPs in January or February next year, pending the outcome of the National Assembly decision. It comes after they stormed the stage during President Cyril Ramaphosa's 2023 State of the Nation address. The Assembly is expected to consider the committee's report with the proposed sanctions in the House tomorrow. So for more on this, we're going to be joined via video link by legal analyst Melusi Xulu. Melusi, good afternoon, and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC at this hour.
Good afternoon, Lizelle, and good afternoon to the viewers at home.
Let's look at what has transpired leading up to this moment. I mean, there were 2 cases that come to the fore. The EFF challenging the SONA sanctions, as well as the EFF challenging sanctions against MPs removed from the president's budget vote. This is in June last year, as well as during the oral reply session in August last year. Bring us up to speed quickly.
Well, basically, I think last month, they have been suspended. I believe on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's last week. So what happened was they made an urgent application so that these proceedings are stopped or to challenge the sitting. But they've decided that since a decision has already been made, that they will only challenge or make the urgent application in January. Because, for example, for talking their salary, it was decided by the committee that their salary will be deducted in February. So, according to the legal advisor, they said it can be done in February. So that's what the suspension and the talking of.
Melusi, we seem to be struggling to hear you a little bit. Let me see if we can continue with the conversation. You're speaking about the postponement to January, as they are of the view that the sanctions will only come into effect in February. Perhaps you could unpack that further, but also bring the issue of fairness. How's that also coming into play from this vantage point?
Okay, I'll proceed, but I just want to check if you can hear me.
We can hear you loud and clear. You were just alluding to the issue of the postponement. It was necessary perhaps to elaborate further and then speak to the issue of fairness. That also seems to be in question.
Yeah. Look, before the order was made by the chairperson on Friday, they obviously did not know when the docking of the salary and the suspension will be made. So when they got information on Friday that the docking of the salary will only be in February and also the suspension will take place in February, then they decided that it makes sense to postpone the matter and not deal with it today, but deal with the matter as an urgent matter in January. So I think that's the basis of the postponement.
Thank you, Melusi. So
moving on.
Do continue.
Yeah, I wanna touch on fairness, Lizelle.
Yes.
The chairperson is Violet Siwela. She's also an NEC member of the ANC. So I believe that the EFF believes that by logic, she might not be a fair person to decide on the hearing. So it's better they get a retired judge so that at least it's someone that can be objective, because obviously the ANC is a minority and the president who is a member of the ANC. So we don't think we are fair hearing in that nature.
What about the EFF wanting the Powers and Privileges Committee to subpoena the National Assembly Speaker? Will the President also be asked to appear? Help us understand that a little bit further.
I think that's an interesting request, because I think they want them to give evidence so that maybe they can challenge them or cross-examine them on what they will be saying. So I think they are just trying to bring everyone who was involved so that they can challenge whatever evidence they have. I think that's their approach, to be honest.
So on the issue or the challenge of the SONA sanctions, perhaps looking at what has transpired to date, the EFF having walked out of those hearings, what impact do you think that's had on how the processes have unfolded?
When they walked out of the hearing, I think it's because they made request, that I think they needed some days to prepare. And when they were refused that request, I think the legal practitioners of their team, the legal team, then they were not able to proceed because they recused themselves and said they could not proceed. So I think it's because of that they felt it was not going to be fair, because they did not get adequate time to prepare. So I suppose when dealing with the matter in High Court. They could have raised the issue, but they were not given sufficient time to prepare for the hearing.
All right, so given what's come to the fore, the gravity of the case before us, let's say in relation to the 6 EFF members before the committee, talk to us about what you're observing on that front. And if you're going to break down, the issues that have come to the fore, the fine line between criminal conduct, a fine line between criminal conduct, protest, and sedition. What are you observing on that front?
Okay, what I'm observing is the fact that if you look at Section 7 of the powers, privileges, immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislature Act, it's a 2004 Act, it says that if you improperly interfere with the proper functioning of Parliament or a member of the Parliament, you will be obviously be in contact of the Parliament. There's a lot of other issues that are where it's called. So I think what is important is they have to prove that actually, President Ramaphosa. But what I find interesting is that it can also be the fact that given a punishment in by the committee, it can also open a criminal case. It doesn't mean that you are punished at a Parliament level. A criminal case can